What if your challenges are not business challenges? For anything to work, you need to be around other people who are making that thing work. That is why I started this off with what if your challenge is not business skill sets? What if it's mindset? What if it's emotional? What if those? And what if you're just not around the right community of people to help you move through that? And if you're not around the right coaches who are doing this, you're going to struggle a lot. It's hard enough to begin with, but most of the times coaches end up in a marketing program around other marketers dealing with marketing challenges, which have very little to do other than putting yourself out there as a coach, or they're in a sales program that are kind of related but not quite, or they're in some course about making courses, or running a Facebook group, which kind of helps, not quite, because you're not around.
Hey, it's Daniel, and you are about to watch a clip from our free podcast, The Coach's Journey, where we help you navigate the surprisingly difficult path of building a coaching business by people who are actually doing it. And we go live, raw, and unedited every week in our free Facebook community.
Hello, amazing coaches. Today I go live twice, once on YouTube for our live podcast. Welcome to the Coach's Journey podcast. As Daniel likes to say, the Coaches Nation. Great to have you here. Today it's going to be a solo podcast with me. And I would just like to start this off with, what if your challenges are not business challenges? And this coming from a community where we focus on business quite a bit, and I think business skill sets are incredibly important, whether those connect to marketing, sales, delivery, follow-up, whatever that might be. Those are all important. But what if that is not the core issue? And here's why I say this, because many of the coaches who come into our community, they're in the first few years of starting their business. Some of them are more experienced. They're in the 5+ years, where they're in the growth part of their business, versus the ones who have started in the first 3 to 5 years. They're still struggling. They're still growing. They're still working through it, especially if they're in the first couple of years of their business. And by the way, coaches, if you've been a coach for 8+ years or 5+ years, but you haven't actually had a business, it starts when you start promoting yourself as a business, not when you got your certification. Because a lot of coaches just get frustrated because they've been a coach for so long, but they don't seem to move forward. You actually haven't started your business. And the way I like to look at it is you have an idea for starting a store, but you never open the storefront. If the coaching business had a huge overhead, you would start it and you would go bankrupt pretty fast if you didn't have clients coming in. But because it doesn't have an overhead, you can even register your business and not have any clients and not do anything in the business, and you'd be fine. But you still don't have a business. So it counts from when you actually actively start building your business. And those are the coaches that are in our community, and those are the coaches that we talk to. If you've done a bunch of certifications, that's great. You're learning the theoretical skill sets, but you haven't put yourself out there as a coach and serving clients, then you're not a business owner. You're not an active coach. So I'm speaking directly to coaches who have put themselves out there. They keep saying, I need more skill sets around sales, marketing, all good. But what if that's not the biggest challenge for you? What if it's actually a mindset challenge? What if it's actually an emotional challenge? What if it's some kind of spiritual challenge? And I say this because a lot of coaches come to me and they're like, I've done so much internal work, emotional work, shadow work, and mindset work, and all kinds of stuff, but I'm not moving forward. And they're serving a lot of people, and they want to serve people with that. And then sometimes they have this guilt and this shame that's like, how can I help people when I can't even work through this myself, when I'm struggling? Well, first of all, let me alleviate the tension and the pressure and say that you're a human being. It doesn't matter if you're a coach, it doesn't make you immune to mindset challenges or emotional challenges or all the stuff that comes up. And I would even go as far as to say the first 2 years of your business, most of your challenges will be emotional in nature, mindset in nature. But here's the problem. Most coaches solve it the wrong way. They approach it in a sense that, hey, I'm gonna go through this course. I'm gonna go through another certification. I'm going to be part of this community of coaches who are in this to learn skill sets and those kind of things. But the problem with that is that you might not be part of the right community. And here's why I say that, because for anything to work, you need to be around other people who are making that thing work. Now, it's a little bit of a confusing thing because let's say you join a certification community, you're a bunch of around 200, 300, 400, or 50 coaches who call themselves coaches, but the reality is they haven't actually started building their business. And you're around a bunch of other people, or they're struggling to make a leap and actually build a business. Now, you'll notice a discernible difference between coaches who actually started a business and coaches who haven't. For you to actually move forward and deal with your mindset and emotional challenges and all that stuff, it doesn't mean you sit there and be part of those. Nothing wrong with those communities, but you need to actually get around coaches who are actually putting themselves out there, who are actually dealing with the challenge, emotional challenges that come with business. For example, today I was on a call with a coach who was incredibly frustrated that she was putting out content, she was reaching out to people, she was connecting with people, she wasn't getting any response. She was literally like, somebody give me something. That is a good thing. We were on a one-on-one call, and today we had a group call too within our community where there are many coaches dealing with. One coach had reached out, taken 8 people through his sales process, and still didn't have a client, but he had referrals, and he didn't know how to make sense of it. Another coach had a coffee conversation coming up with, didn't know how to approach it between 2 different business partners. Another coach didn't know how to follow up or had a follow-up challenge. Now you see that the conversations are actually about business, but they're actually most of the solutions were emotional in nature rather than mindset in nature rather than technical business. There's some technical business stuff such as building a system around CRM, those kind of things, but a lot of the hesitation was, well, why wasn't the coach dealing with the objection around money? Well, because the coach was uncomfortable. And that's a mindset challenge. That's an emotional challenge. Solutions. Why was another coach not dealing with not following up? Because there was a hesitation, because the coach thought she was pestering. These are all internal, emotional, and mindset challenges, and coaches are not immune to it. I don't care how long you've been dealing with this stuff. This is why you need the right community, you need the right coaches, you need the right mentors. And one of the easiest ways to get over all this stuff is to change your environment. You need to be in conversations with other coaches who are actually putting themselves out there, who are in the sales process, who are making offers, who are following up. If you're not around those coaches, you're around coaches who are just going through certifications and they're talking about how to give people more clarity, how to give people, get people to deal with mindset blocks. Nothing wrong with those. We have those conversations as well in our community, but they will not help you deal with the emotional and mindset challenges that come with business. And that is the challenge. So that is why I started this off with, what if your challenge is not business skill sets? What if it's mindset? What if it's emotional? What if those? And what if you're just not around the right community of people to help you move through that? And if you're not around the right coaches who are doing this, you're going to struggle a lot. It's hard enough to begin with, but most of the times coaches end up in a marketing program around other marketers dealing with marketing challenges, which have very little to do other than putting yourself out there as a coach, or they're in a sales program that are kind of related, but not quite, or they're in some course about making courses, or running a Facebook group, which kind of helps, not quite, because you're not around mindset, transformational, high performance, those kind of coaches who are actually putting themselves out there and building a business, or who have built already businesses. It gets you to deal with different problems, the problems that you actually need to deal with, problems around reaching out to people, following up, making better offers, dealing with objections within the coaching sphere, not just in a general sales process. I want to bring this up because this comes up a lot. I cannot tell you how many times I get on a call with a coach who's frustrated with some business problem, but it ends up being an emotional or mindset challenge or a belief challenge. And usually gets dealt with because we have the right community of coaches who are dealing with the right problems, not some random coaches. And we do work hard to bring the right coaches around us. So if you don't have the right community, please reach out to us. Go into one of the links below to join our free community and see what we're about. We are constantly adding value. In fact, this podcast is completely free, live for those in our community. Later on, it gets edited a month or so later and put on our podcast platform, but our community members have a direct link to it. We consistently go live in our free Facebook Live community. We also have our paid membership levels for those who want to be more engaged, and we are looking for coaches who are actually building their business. Those are the only coaches we work with. If you're thinking about building your business, if you've gone through 3, 4, 5 certifications, all great. But if you're not ready to build your business, not ready to dedicate 10 to 12 hours a week to actually building your business uncomfortably, then we're not the right community. But if we are, definitely reach out. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Go into one of the links or at least join our free community. Make sure you share this with a coach who might be struggling with this. This will be helpful to them. Please like this so we can reach more coaches. And please share your biggest insight below. I'd love to go in there and have a conversation with you and respond personally. Until my next conversation, hope you have an incredible day. Take care. Bye.